Good morning, everybody. It is 8:18 a.m., April 14th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, of course, the market gapped down Sunday evening, and then the markets recovered. I talked about this yesterday pre-market. I said have a bullish bias. I feel like the market's just pricing in the overnight the deal not being made, and then there was a little positive news again. Markets juiced up a little bit, and then it just kept going up. Okay. So what I saw yesterday, we took back all of this war downturn. It's gone. It's gone. It's erased. We're already back prior to all of this news. So the market priced it in, and now we're moving on. Now I know it's not done yet, but the market basically, you know, pretty much takes any excuse to go up. All right. I was explaining in my community yesterday live that it's very hard to be a short in the as like a swing trader, just in general in the markets. It feels like you're super smart when you do it, but it's very hard, really hard. I was actually thinking of putting a put on Friday because I was like, ooh, I like this. This could just be frothy, but I was like, no. And then like the weekend came, and I'm like, ooh, man, I should have put that put on. And then what do you know, right? Markets are up 1% yesterday, even after being down. And it's not even settled, right? So now, besides an all out bombing of everywhere, the market is priced in oil up. So something else needs to happen that we don't know. This is how markets work. In the beginning, when I tried to outsmart the markets by reading, by being well read, thinking that I know the numbers better than the market, you get humbled very quickly. It's just not how the market works, right? Market just moves on. Oh, you thought that was negative? Well, the market already knows about it. So just remember that the market already prices everything in. If you know about it, the market priced it in. It's only the surprises that take markets down. Okay? Now, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Stephen Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets. Long supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That's where I come with my game plans. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals to see what's under the hood off the open. I use my weekly expected move indicator I give for free on my Discord. A little ICT smart money in there, concepts, and some anchor VWAPs. Okay, that's what I bring. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. I do this every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. That will help me out. Okay. Give you every day the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and the laggards, technical analysis, and I give you the long and short trade scenarios later on in the stream. Okay. I genuinely believe anybody can listen to me in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the stream because it's not that technical. Okay, we're going over why the market's doing what it's doing. All right. So even share with your friends. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage and you are a day trader, you are going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. Okay. All right. Let's move into the futures watch list here. What do we got here? We have Ethereum up 4.78%, Silver's up 2.26%, Bitcoin's up 1.39%, almost out 75K. That was at 60,000 at one point, right? and then it held around the 60s, and then it held around the 70s. We'll see. We'll see. Russell's up 0.67, Nasdaq up a half a percent, gold up 0.44, ES up 0.25, Dow's up. No, Dow's actually flat. Dow's actually flat. Now, why is it flat? We'll look at that in a second. I'll be able to tell that in a minute. Remember, Dow's only 30 stocks. 10-year yield's flat. Dollar is down 0.31. Crude is down 2.79% at $96.32 dollars a barrel. VIX down to an 18. 4.71%, down 4.65% now. VIX down to an 18, and we are in positive gamma. So the volatility is going to be a lot lower. Okay, you're not going to get a lot of whippy moves unless news comes out. Mag 7 Plus, Coinbase, Bitcoin proxy is up 2.34%. Tesla's up 1.62, Amazon up 1.14, Google up 1%. Okay, Meta up 1%, Microsoft up 1%. AMD has been on a monster tear, up 0.92, Nvidia up 0.70, GE up 0.29, Apple up 0.19. Eli Lilly was down yesterday. And who's the laggard today? Now, JP Morgan did report earnings today. They're down. Well, they were just down 0.5%, but now they're down 0.37. Okay? Let's move on. So, Oracle had a monster day yesterday. Talked about some AI stuff. Monster day yesterday. They're up 4.42% today, pre-market. Palantir up almost 1.5%. GE Vernova, ooh boy, that's almost at 1,000. That's my baby. Like I said, I own that at like 260 or 280, something like that. God, I hope that splits, but we'll see. Every time I'm like, oh, should I trim? No, that's going over 1,000. NEM up 0.70, Caterpillar up 0.45, Qualcomm up 0.43. Let's see here. Chevron down 0.69, Exxon down 0.85. Johnson & Johnson reported earnings, they are down 0.88. Sectors. Semiconductors up almost 1%. That's a risk on market. Technology up 0.67. Discretionary up 0.46. The laggard today is energy, down 0.63. Moving on to the economic calendar. We do have PPI coming out in less than 3 minutes. Or 3 minutes. Okay? So we're not going to have much time. So today, ADP weekly employment came out already. It's actually better than expected. Better than the previous, I'm sorry. PPI, we got to go to the 1 stars here because I like to see the core year over year. That's the one that the Fed cares about. Consensus, it's going to rise to 4.1. Previous 3.9. So that's the one, the core you want to look at. Now headline PPI, consensus 4.6. Previous 3.4. So we're definitely expecting higher PPI. Okay. Now we have about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes till that comes out. Let's go over some news. See if we have any. JP Morgan tops, revenue tops estimates. All right, but it's down. There's nothing really here. Let's look at Trump's schedule here today. Trump, let's see. 1:30 p.m. Participates in a meeting with Speaker of the House and Chairman of the National Public Commission. 3 p.m. President Sean O'Brien. All right. I don't really see anything there. News. JP Morgan profit rises. Volatile markets driving trading division. Wells Fargo profit rises on interest income trading boost. BlackRock quarterly profit rises on the active ETFs performance fees. J&J's first quarter profit beats estimates even as Stellara sales disappoint. United American Airlines climb after news of Kirby floating merger with Trump. Okay. U.S. stock index futures rose as traders held on to hopes of de-escalation in the Middle East conflict while awaiting March producer price data. In a fresh round of corporate earnings, Citigroup is expected to join rivals and post higher first quarter profits. Analysts and investors focused on CEO Jane Fraser's commentary on resolving the lender's long-standing regulatory issues and growth strategy after closing out a year-long restructuring to simplify its operations. Okay. Any other news here? Bloom Energy, jeez, that was down to like 70 or 80 something. And I was like, should I buy a little bit? Boy, oh boy, that thing is rocketing. Um, just trying to see any other news, folks. There's Bloom Energy. JP Morgan raises target price to 231. Oh, that hurts. That thing was at 80 not too long ago. Ugh, that's how it is. That's how it goes. All right, we got 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds. What else can we look at here? Let's see what the juice has for us here. Let's see, Nasdaq 100 on track for its longest run of gains since 2021 as optimism over renewed U.S. rent talks pushed oil prices lower and supported global equities. Okay, 15 seconds. Let's go to the new. Let's go to the data here. So the market's expecting higher. So, and it should drop right now. Boom. Oh, it's lower than expected. Expected 4.6, and the headline, you got 4.4%. Interesting. Interesting. And consensus for today for the core PPI was 4.1, and it came in at 3.8. Previous 3.9. It actually went down. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Expected 4.6 year over year. Got 4.0. Still up 6.6. But the core went down. The core went down. Very interesting. Very interesting. The market for initially here doesn't like it right now. I don't know if because it's concentrating on the headline that it went up 0.6 previous. That might be it. I mean, oil has been a problem, right? This is the producer. This is what the producers have to pay. We'll see. Right now, you're getting a little wick. I don't know how that's going to shake out later. Maybe this has to do with Fed cuts. Obviously, you don't want to see PPI rising because this is a headline number. Went up 0.6, so it did go up, just not as high as the consensus. But the core went down. But right now, the market's not liking it too much. Okay? We're going to look at some breadth. Check out that breadth, which is going to be those bullish percent index charts. Okay? We are going to look at those. And let's go straight up. Let's go to 20-day. 71% of stocks are over the 20 days to move. Now, folks, when you get over 80, 85%, that is overbought. Let's look at the 50. Remember, the 50 is a longer moving average. So let's look at that 50. All right. So the 50 is showing us the market's middling, right? Only 51% are over their 50-day moving average. All right. So those are your two little breadth indicators. Let's get to the bullish percent index. I'm assuming this is have to be improved. Interesting. Only improved a tiny bit yesterday. Now, the reason I think that is because most of the heavy market cap weighted stocks yesterday moved higher. Technology, right? Financials. Now, the overall market, there was a little tiny weakness in some other parts of the market. Okay, remember markets, S&P 500 is very broad. It's 500 stocks, but the market moves on market cap weight. So you can have that, but if the market cap weighted stocks move, the market's going to move up. Okay, let's look at the NDX. Remember, this is 100 stocks. Interesting. Interesting. It only went up a little bit. 52%. Middling. 52%. Now remember, technology has been getting money flows overall. I know SaaS had a big uptake yesterday. SaaS software stocks. They were down though 2 days in a row, but tech was up. Okay, so let's look at the infotech. See that? Yesterday it went up a little bit. This was the SAS taking that down, but it went up a little bit yesterday. Okay, 60% on buy signals. Let's go to financials. Remember, this is the week for earnings for financials. Financials only went up a little bit yesterday. 65% on buy signal. Okay, let's look at those staples because they've been taking a beating. Okay, let's look at the staples. Well, look at that. Nice move. Was from down from 22.5, went up to 33%. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Is there an energy? Let's just see. Let's see if there's an energy. Yes, there is. Energy. Interesting. Energy sector. Interesting. Only 31% on buy signals. But look at that drop off. Was up at in the 70s. Look at that drop off. Wow. That is pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. Let me see if there's miners or metals. Miners, maybe. Let's see here. There's materials. Let's see. Is there miners? I think it's too granular. We'll have to go to materials. Let's see materials. 70% on buy signals. That would be your metals in there. Interesting. Okay. That's our breath. All right. Now, we're going to go into market internals. Market internals. Let's do it. Let's do it. Boom. Market internals, bread and butter. And I didn't have a trade yesterday. Did not have a trade yesterday. Okay. Internally, there's not much to say here. It's just beastly. Infotech off the open up 2.30%, financials up 2.26%, consumer discretionary up 1.40%, communications up 1%, healthcare up 0.74%, industrials up 1%, and staples down. See that? Energy down. All of this is off the open. Okay? I don't care about the previous day's close when I'm looking at my internals. All right, look at that. Almost 5-1 in the NASDAQ of volume going into up stocks versus down stocks. Almost 3-1 in an ICE. You're not going to go down, folks. Not like that. But look at how this market moved. Barcode moved up. Barcode, and then it wasn't the easiest day to trade. It just wasn't. Not for my style. All right, that's your internal update. Now, let's go to that daily chart. Or let's look at the earnings real quick. This morning, JP Morgan, BlackRock, Citi, CarMax, Johnson & Johnson. We already talked about this already. Wells Fargo. Today after the close, what do we got? No, nothing really to care about. Tomorrow, though, ASML. Before the open is Semi, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Progressive Insurance, PNC Bank. That is tomorrow. Big boys are down later in the week. Okay? We're going to go to daily charts. Dailies. Boom. Dailies. All right, let's look at that candle. My lord. Bullish engulfing candle on the daily chart. Look where that bounced off of the anchored VWAP of the year. That white dash line. The anchored VWAP of the year. It just kissed it and went whoop. Bullish engulfing candle. I did not expect that. Okay. I was bullish, but I didn't know if I was that bullish. All right, now check this out. That is last month's highs, folks. That is last month's highs in the line of sight. In the line of sight. Now, when we hit the anchored VWAP of 2025 down here, I talked about that 632. Jeez Louise. That's 688 right now. Unbelievable. You're only $9 from all-time highs. That is crazy. Okay. So is 690, 688 in the sights? You're already there, pre-market. That's 688. So you're gapping up. So what I would say to this is that's why I have these levels on my charts. Okay. Everybody sees monthly levels. I'm a little weary. Can we really punch through that? Now we're starting to get in a little overbought territory. Okay. Now I say that not as, oh, we're overbought, so I short. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that look where we just came from. Right? Zoom. Now we're going to go up to a monthly level in all this congestion. How much room to the upside do we have if we start playing against it? Now, can we go higher? Sure. Probability, though, is people might take profits on a monthly level. So keep that in mind. Let's look at futures. There's the last month's futures high. 69.63. 69.63. Okay? There's where your futures are right now. You're above last week's highs. Okay? So we're making new weekly ranges, not yet a monthly range yet. Okay? So like I said, 69.63 in futures brings you to the middle of this garbage. Okay? Heavy volume. Currently where we sit, 69.33 is the most traded price of the rolling year in the ES. 69.33. So right, I'm gonna put my cursor on it. Right here, notice it's like in the middle of all this. That generally, folks, slows down markets. Even more, where can we tap this? Maybe, yes. It's not going to be easy peasy to go through this. So I have to put that in my head and go, okay, if we get a nice pullback, I can go long. But if we just like gap and go, how long do I want to be? Probably not much. Okay? Am I going to all out short? I'm not saying that. It's all about probabilities, okay? Qs. I think that's an error. I got to correct that. That is definitely an error. Let me just see if I can get let me think about this here. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. I am going to see if I can get the correct values here, because that's got to be corrected. That's not right. I'm just gonna go to a what the hell is this? Let's see here. Just want to see. All I care about is where the give me 1 second. What the hell is this? Apologize, folks. Give me a second here. Why is this not giving me? Is it this hard? Alright, give me 1 second. I don't know why this is giving me a problem here. Should be the Invesco. Why is that not showing me the right price there? Alright, let me do something real quick. What a pain in the butt. I just want to fix that because I know that's wrong. Give me a sec. I'm gonna get it in 2 seconds here. Once I get this, I'll correct that chart. Just give me a sec. I apologize. I'm gonna fix this because that's sometimes Thinkorswim has these errors. Okay, 626.74. 626.74 was the high. 626.74. So let's correct that bar. The high what is that? That was correct. That wasn't an error. I guess it was. Sorry about that. That's correct. Wait a minute here. But that's not right. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry. Let's look at where it's at. 620.74 right here. That has still to be an error. I don't know where they got that information. All right. If anybody has it in the chat, put it in there what the correct high was from yesterday. But that's got to be an error. We're right here. Okay. Big move. We're over the year-to-date interview, and check that out. QQQ is over last month's highs. Over last month's highs. Bullish engulfing candle. Made new weekly range. Okay. You did come down and hit the 100-day moving average yesterday. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's correct or not. Maybe it did happen. All right. So where are we at now? We're like right here. Over. Making new monthly ranges. So money's flowing in the Qs. Futures. Over last month's highs in futures. Okay. Over last week's highs. Over the 100-day moving average. Over all moving averages. Qs are getting love. But look at this resistance right here. That is big time resistance. 25688s around there. You might even want to just call it 257s to round it off. 257s. Okay? That is resistance. Resistance, folks. We are in supply. So, like I said, right now, we've come a long way. There's going to be a day where there's going to be a little pullback. Okay? I don't know when that happens. Okay? It's already wicking here, right, with the PPI. I don't know, if that's an excuse to take profits because people don't know. But that's what we're looking at. Okay? Now we're going to move on to those hourly charts. Let's do it. Okay, this is your ES. Let's get lots of bullish FEGs here. Demand, it's just the market caught a bid. And now people maybe are foaming, going, oh my God, I got out of the market. Now I got to get back in it. Now, this orange box right there signifies, you can see to the left here, 69.33. Around about is the most traded price of the rolling year. That means a year ago from today, this is the most traded price. Hence why the market was stalling here. Now you got a little wiki wick, right? There's last month's highs. I talked about that right there. 69.61s right there. Last month's highs. Most traded price of the year. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if we either range here or pull back a little bit. Now, we are in supply right now. So, like I said, if we went up here and tapped that, I don't know how much higher we can go. I don't know how much higher. Okay? So, levels today to look at. 69.33s. 69.61s, last month's highs. Okay? The most traded price of yesterday, which was around 69.24s. Okay, you can see all those candles lined up there. So you got support really in what, 69.20. The overnight lows really needs to hold, and that's held. But boy, is that looking like it wants to get swept. That's a lot of support, my lord. Okay, so and then you got poor structure all the way down to last week's highs at around 6888. Okay, 6888. Moving on to Nasdaq. Now Nasdaq, remember I said that 257 resistance. Look at that right there. I want to show you that. What does it show? Oh, that's why. Look at that. That is a liquidity level, swing high from the past. Remember I talked about the 257, right? You're in supply. It wicked right on that liquidity level from the past. So let's zoom out and see. Right there, that swing high. Okay? Look at this supply all the way back from here. That's why I said this resistance is a beast. Multiple times, right? So that would be a profit take. PPI maybe excuse to take some profits. I don't know. Here you have equal lows here at 255. Let's just call it 255 60s. Okay? That's your defense. Now, Nasdaq is very impressive. Okay? Most traded price of the rolling year, 25230s. It's over it. Most traded price of this year, the 25032s, is over it. Most traded price of the week, the 252, it's going to probably change now. Let's call it the 253s right here. It's going to change. I have it down here. It's all over all the major VPOCs, composite high volume nodes from the past. Pretty bullish. But you just went into the 257s, right? So I expect a pullback here. Okay. So the levels to watch today, 257s and the 255 60s. Then you have poor structure. Okay, down to last month's highs, 2457s, and last week's highs, 25393s. Okay? Remember what I said. We're pretty frothy. Okay, we're pretty frothy. All right, moving on. Let's move on, folks, to the market profile and the volume profile. What a session yesterday. My lord. And it was looking like typical Monday. Like, oh, here we go. It's just a lot like Snuffleupagus, right? This is your market profile and volume profile. Okay, like Snuffleupagus. Hey, bird. I don't even know if kids know that. It's still, nowadays, I'm sure every kid or whoever's watching knows that. But, like, man, I was just like, all right, are we going to do something? And then market juiced it, which is annoying. Because all of a sudden, we weren't doing much. And then, market likes that. And then, And then it was like, oh, all right, you're just ripping now into lunch. Okay. And then I just walked away. I'm like, well, this is not, for my style, it just wasn't a good trade. It wasn't a good setup day for me. Okay. All right. Now, let's get into the ES, long and short trade scenarios. Okay. Now, first thing, we're gapping up. Yesterday, we were gapping down. This is crazy. Let's break out the session. Okay. So, scenarios are already flying to my brain right now. So, the first thing when we gap, again, do the same thing every day. It's a gap fill. 69.25.50s, yesterday's highs. That's the level you want to look for the gap fill. Happens to be a start of a demand zone. You mark that off. Now, secondly, the 50% retracement of yesterday's range is 68.7625. That's your 50% retracement of yesterday. Okay? So, you can see this barcode. Okay? So, what was I saying? See, we're in supply right now. Okay? We're in supply. You can see the highlighted area. That's all supply. Major one, too. We're at the most traded price of the rolling year. Let's just call it 69.40s to 30s. It's having problems with it. I expect that. We're pretty overbought. Okay? So, I don't like a long here at all. Very low probability for me. Very low probability for me. But we are going to get into the scenarios right now. All right? Got our levels down. So, let's start off with the long. Bulls got the momentum. You don't want to fight that. But what I don't want to do is long in supply and long at a level that's highly trafficked. Doesn't make sense. Okay? So, what I want is a market that rips down, takes out the overnight lows, 69.20s. You have a bullish FEG with single prints right here. The white box is here. Now, support in an FEG or single prints is bullish. So I'd love to see some type of support like this back into the overnight. Hold with a higher low. Then you attack that overnight high, 69.49.50s. Then you try to go to the end of this resistance level. That resistance level is 69.65s. Okay, 69.65s. That would be nice. Okay. Another one. Okay. Another one. That could also happen. Okay. Is you push up, take out the overnight highs, and then all of a sudden profit taking happens, right? You come back in, fill the gap, and you touch the most traded price of yesterday, which happens to be 69.24s. That happens to also be yesterday's close. Now, even if it's not perfect and you do whoop, but then you come right back above yesterday's VPOC, 69.24s, and retest it, that's also a long, targeting the same target as before. Okay. Now, any pullback inside the single prints or the bullish FEG is buyable. That shows you that the market is strong, because you should not get support in no volume. Okay. You should get ran through. But when it shows support, it just tells you you better buy it. Okay? That's my long. Let's go to shorts. I think there might be one that be had today. Maybe. Okay? Now, what would I want to see for a short? Well, I would like to see, most likely, push up, take out those overnight highs. Maybe get a little higher up into the supply zone. Okay? And I want to see internally that we're either tech is down, not leading, or the market's kind of in parity, right? That would be a flat red flag for me. Then I would like to see what? A pullback with a lower high for me to short. And my target is going to be gap fill, 69.25.50s. Okay? Next target would be overnight lows, 69.20. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. If the internals are telling you tech is leading to the downside, there's a good shot in the market that, let's just say the market turns, maybe even has some negative news somehow. This is all poor structure, and you're going to clean all of this up to just below the 6900s. Okay, you do have demand here. It's not the strongest. It's not the strongest. So, what could happen here? Okay, this is also last week's highs, 6888. That might be it. Might be it, right? But if this market really falls apart, we can go all the way back to the most traded price of the week, 68.57s. Okay. So I really, really want to be short somewhere up in here. Now, conservatively, but I would be very hesitant if the market pushed, broke overnight lows, 69.20s, went into the bullish FEG, retested 69.24 is the most traded price of yesterday and yesterday's close. I'd have to see the market like be weak in order for me to have confidence to short, because I know this is really a buy point. So that is a scarier short. It could work and you could run it down again to the 68.57s, but that is not my favorite, because I know I'm going to be fighting some buyers that are going to come in here unless the market is super weak or we get some crazy negative news. Okay, that's the ES. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's gapping up pretty nicely. Okay, pretty nicely. Let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ. Let's break out the session. Now, I did not notice this yet in the ES, but I have to tell you something right now. This is an edge that I'm going to explain to you. Okay? This is an edge. We opened, okay, right here, okay, in the overnight sessions, where I like the overnight session and the real-time trading hours separated. You are 100% net long, and your price is up in the upper portion of the overnight session. Okay, let me check ES for you guys real quick. I want to make sure that that also is the case. It is. It's just not up as high as the NASDAQ is. Okay, it's not. You still have it, but it's not as good. Okay, it's not. Maybe if I expand it a little bit, it's not. Okay, so the edge is going to be in the NASDAQ. Okay, because it's relatively stronger. 100% net long means there's no shorts in the overnights. Okay, what's the edge? The edge is, well, everybody's long. In overnight sessions, you have to consider them weak hands in the market. Weak hands. They're not the big boys that move markets. They're weak. Okay, so if they're 100% net long, any kind of adversity, they're going to liquidate their longs. And I like it that they're up at the highs. So this is not an easy trade. Okay, but I'm giving you that edge. That's a big edge. Now, there's another edge here. Okay, let's talk about this. Right here, you have what you call a spike in the profile in the NASDAQ. That spike, okay, is emotional buying, and we close at the highs. Right? Then you have 100% net long in the overnight. Okay? So, what you want to look at as this spike, as long as price, right, can find acceptance inside the spike, like we bounce anywhere in here, it's bullish. Below that spike, start to worry. Okay? That's how you gauge that. Giving you a lot of edge here. Okay? This is why you look at market profile, buying profile. You don't see this in candlesticks. So let's break out the session in the NASDAQ. Now, we're going to mark off our levels because we are gapping up. First thing, gap fill, 25562s. You mark that off. Okay, you mark that off. Now we know the 257s that we already kind of almost hit by, right, is major resistance. That's the end of that supply zone. The end of that supply zone, to be exact, is 25726s, 25726s. Okay? So, we have our major resistance. We are in supply still. We did not take it out. We did not take it out. Now, overnight lows, 25547s. That is support by a lot of hours of trading. Okay? that just happens to line up with gap fill because we're 100% net long. Okay. Now, also the 50% retracement of yesterday's range is 25361. Mark that off. Mark that off. Okay. Now, we're going to get into scenarios. We are going to start with the long scenarios. Bulls are in control. Do not take what I am saying as I am a short bias guy. They are in control. You have a major demand zone right here. That starts, my folks, 25618s, 25618s. That's a major demand zone. I believe that's a 6 or 8 hour one. Okay. So, what would I like to see? Well, 100% net long. We're going to have some liquidation. So we'll have some liquidation into this demand zone. Guess what? You can hit the gap fill. You can hit yesterday's close, but as long as I get a nice little bounce and a lower high, I'm going to go long, targeting overnight highs 25716s and then the end of the supply. Maybe you get some extra move up here. I don't know. Okay? I don't think there's too much to the upside today. I don't know that, but I don't think there'll be. I'm only talking about my experience of probability. Now, here's the other long. If the longs liquidate from the overnights, those weak hands, because they're 100% net long, okay? You notice the overnight VPOC is around 25586. If you come through that with volume and momentum, it's going to cause selling, liquidation, okay? Now, you start to enter into a bullish fair value gap at 25532. Also, single prints from yesterday. Remember what I say. Support in these areas that should not be support is very bullish. So if you come into here, let's say around the 255s, start to push up, retest with a higher low, you're going to go long, targeting overnight highs, 25716s, and see if you can go a little higher. That's it. Okay? Now, shorts. For your scalpers out there, this is not an easy trade, but it's very viable. I'm giving you my edge. Okay? 100% net long, and the price is up in the range. Get ready for a liquidation. Okay? So, short scenario. Okay? What I would love is a push up. Sweep those overnight highs. Go to the end of the supply and then get a nasty wick. Get a little lower high, right? In the market internals, let's say, are neutral, or actually, let's say there's some sign of market internals that are not that strong. You're going to short. You are going to short, and you are going to target. Be my guest here. You could pick the overnight VPOC 25586 or wait to the gap fill at 25562s. That is, my friends, is a monster trade. If you break the gap fill and you go to the overnight lows, 25547s, you are going to touch that bullish fair value gap. Now, like I said before, it cuts both ways. This is a single prints. It's emotional buying. That's hence single prints and hence an FEG. It's an imbalance. Okay? In a weak market, the internals are weak. Tech is leading to the downside. You cut through these like a hot knife through butter. Now, there is a demand zone here, starting around the 254s, 50s. Okay, it's not the strongest, but it could stop it. If it does not, we're going down all the way to 25350s. Okay, and then if it really gets nasty, you're going to go down to the 25250s, which happens to be the most traded price of the rolling year. Do I expect that? I don't know. If there negative news can come out that can make that happen, yes. Okay? Now, just like I said in the ES, a conservative short, okay? You want to wait for my edge of the overnight 100% net long scenario. And you go, all right, I know Steve said that, but I'm a little conservative. Let me see a break back into yesterday's range. Remember that spike rules right here, right? However, if you notice the market's getting weak and it retests the gap or the close from yesterday, okay, and you see, oh boy, this is weak, this is not good, it's the retest, That's where you can short conservatively and see what you can get, maybe down to last week's highs, 25393s. Okay? Bulls have the momentum. Do not get me wrong. I'm always giving you scenarios though. Okay? That is it, folks. Okay, now, what is my overall take on the markets? We just came a long way. We hit a key resistance in the 257s in the NASDAQ, right? We are battling, we are battling the most traded price of the rolling year around the 6940s. Okay? We are in supply in both the NASDAQ and the ES. We're close to 100% net long in the overnight with both of them. We're at a point now where either we go to the, we probably range or we pull back today. That's probabilities. That's the probabilities that I'm seeing. We probably slow here or pull back a little bit. So it's either digest, move sideways, or I feel like we get a little pullback to go maybe even a little higher. Okay? Now, anything can happen, but that's my take right now. We don't have much data after today, after the rest of the day. There is Fed speak. They haven't moved the markets that much lately, though. And there's always the Iran news that can come out any minute. That happens every day. Okay? Bulls have the momentum. Do not get me wrong. Okay? That's it for me, folks. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. All right? Smash that like button. That would help me out tremendously. Now, hopefully you join me every day. Subscribe, set that alert, give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay? I've been doing this for a little while. You can trust my TA. Okay? And it's not just TA, support, resistance, support. It's the theme, the story. Okay? Now, hopefully, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. It's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay? I have the track record here. You can see it. What I call the scenarios I do. That's why I'm putting this up for myself and for everyone here. Every morning, those pre-market scenarios are out there. Right? Every day. Then I have my live market updates. I go live. But then you have, of course, my daily receipt, where every day I say what's happening. I'm giving my thoughts on the market. Yesterday I didn't have any trades. And then each week, you get my recap of how I did, how my scenarios played out. Was I right? What was my trade return each week? Okay? It's all here. Then you get also every morning my gamma levels, the flip points. All right? You get those. My weekly expected move script on Thinkorswim. You get that as well. Okay? So, hopefully I see you there. I go live. I should go live again around 9:50 a.m. today. Okay? Come join. All right, folks. That's it for me. Have a great day. All right? Remember, no trade's a trade. Hope everybody has a green day. All right? Hope everybody follows the process. That's the number one thing you want to do. Remember, the whole thing about this is we're risk managers. Okay? You want to be the casino and force the market to where you want to get in and exploit the edge you have. It's the only thing we can control is our risk. Okay? Otherwise, do not have the market force you into a trade. It doesn't usually end well. All right? Everybody, take it easy. If I see you in my Discord, I will see you. If I don't, I'll see you tomorrow.